Hello, welcome to David's Life and Observation with your host, David Welch. Um, we're seeing some serious things going on. We've seen gym owners, salon owners, patrons of all sorts of businesses be arrested for violating social distance. And then we have employers saying that there's going to be a new normal when it comes to social distancing in the workplace, like going back to the offices. Wow. There is a lot going on right now that should be answered with some medieval barbarism type of shit. Now, there are oath keepers out there that are being fired for upholding their oath to the Constitution. There are a lot of gentlemen out there who served in the military who took the oath probably a dozen times by now, and it's ingrained in every fiber of their being, and they're wholeheartedly against enforcing these rules, these orders from people who have no authority to issue said orders. And people are being fined and arrested. Well, people are going to continue to be fined and arrested until those doing the arresting get shot and killed. It's absolutely imperative now that we get to the point of lethality with law enforcement. It is important to make them pay dearly every time they go to arrest a citizen for violating these non-constitutional or unconstitutional orders. There's a lot of people out there that don't want to go to that extreme. I get it. We got brothers and sisters in law enforcement. We have veterans in law enforcement. We have people we care about in the law enforcement community who do. And there are wonderful people out there that do law enforcement, firefighting, and EMT work all in the same day. And it's going to be really hard for a lot of citizens to start gunning down law enforcement officers. But we've hit a point to where that is the ultimate lesson that the government is going to have to learn in order to stop doing what they're doing. Unless there are pitched gun battles in the streets, unless there is mayhem and murder on a large scale to government employees, government officials, judges, lawyers, prosecutors, police officers, police chiefs, sheriff's deputies, until they're murdered on a large scale and by the same people they're sworn a duty to protect, and by people utilizing the Constitution that they swore to uphold, they're not going to learn. They're going to keep doing it. It's going to get to the point where everything that we've read about in books like 1984, Fahrenheit 451, any sort of novel that deals with large scale people controlling or large scale disparity in treatment is not, and every one of those has a theme to them. If you just noticed, even with Hunger Games books, the theme is that at one point people get sick and tired and they say enough's enough, and there will be bloodshed. There will be people dying in the streets. We've already seen a very militarized, or very mobile, militarized police force in our streets. That violates the Constitution. We do not need a standing army telling us where we can and where we cannot go, what we can and what we cannot do. My understanding is that we lived in a free country that upholds the Constitution and the civil rights of everybody, not just the law enforcement and their family. Because law enforcement and their families are doing whatever they want anyway. They're going on vacation. They're hypocrites. They're not social distancing. They're doing everything in the book they would normally do. But during their day job, they're telling other people that they can and cannot be around each other. They can and cannot patron restaurants and gyms and things like that. And I say, hogwash. I say that there are enough pissed off people in the United States at these tyrannical leaders, these tyrannical government agents, that the only way they're going to get out of that scenario, the only way that they're going to lift the imaginary chains that bind them is through blunt force trauma to those law enforcement officers, to those very same people who believe on a day-to-day basis that they're doing the right thing, that they're protecting people, when in fact they're harassing people, collecting money for the state, and terrorizing their community. A lot of them have egos. A lot of them are child predators. A lot of them are abusers. A lot of them are the very fiends that they say that they protect against. They become that. They're so enwrapped, they're so engulfed in the cloak of power that they don't realize how bad or how far they've come from the Constitution, from the law, from the citizenry. And they do believe in their bones that they are above the law. They believe they are the embodiment of the law. So they become judge, jury, and a lot lately, executioner. So it's going to be one-offs. It's going to start with one-off people. It's going to start with random people, one person fighting many. And we already see Rambo scenarios happening where you got police officers pulling people over, telling them to stay out of their towns, telling people to don't come back now. You hear, I mean, like, we literally hear that shit. We literally hear law enforcement officers telling people that if they see them again, that something violent will happen. I mean, with these open threats, we see it all the time. I mean, if you don't believe me, just, start typing in online. Just go anywhere, online or YouTube, and just type in First Amendment or Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, or police harassment, or illegal detainment, or illegal arrest. And you'll see there's probably at least over 100,000 videos. Just what's been caught on video should make our stomachs turn and fight back. But even that, what's been caught on film, and what we already know law enforcement has done, like, Waco should have never been raided. Waco was a very illegal operation carried out by thug law enforcement, by law enforcement that believed they were above the law. We have Ruby Ridge, another case where law enforcement wasn't punished. We got Lavoy Finicum, where we got FBI agents who ambushed a vehicle out in the middle of nowhere trying to go to a speaking engagement, and they murdered Lavoy Finicum, and they riddled a vehicle full of bullets with people who were not fighting back or non-combative, and nearly killed them. Nothing happened. Nothing ever happens to law enforcement that violates the Constitution. They violate people's rights every day. There are more, let's put it this way, there are more civil rights violations that have not been addressed than there are court cases for civil rights violations. There are not enough lawyers on the planet to take on those cases, because ultimately it would burden the system so bad that we wouldn't have law enforcement officers on the streets. We wouldn't have anybody on the streets to do the job. Now, it's something that I've been toiling over for quite a while. And people always say to me, well, it's only a few law enforcement officers. No, negative. It's every law enforcement officer that takes those orders and enforces the will of these government tyrants. That's who's at fault. So whether you do it one time, whether you do it no times, when you go out on the street to try and do it, I don't care if you're an order follower like that and you're not upholding your oath to the Constitution. You absolutely deserve to be shot and killed in the street, and then your body dragged through the streets because you're a disgrace to Americans. We fought a whole war over taxation. We fought a whole war over tyranny, and we're getting to the point where you're waking a sleeping giant in the American people, and the sleeping giant's getting more and more awake, getting more and more aware of who is pissing it off. And the result is not going to be pretty. So these are just words right now, but it's a warning to those in the law enforcement community. It is a warning to those who are judges, those who are government agents, those who are politicians. All I'm saying is the worst thing that can happen to you is not a vote. The worst thing that will happen to you is not going to be a vote if you continue down the path you're going. If businesses don't start opening up, if people don't start being able to make their money, because there's about several million business owners out there right now that have lost everything due to these unconstitutional orders. And if you don't think that those people aren't motivated enough to kill you, your family, your friends, and anyone associated with the badge or the law, well, you are sadly fucking mistaken. So heed my warning. Fix your shit. Don't enforce those orders. Don't arrest people for not social distancing. And don't respond to every Karen, every Sharon, every Betty out there, because people aren't doing what a false entity told them to do. Just a warning. I've gotten to the point where my kids know not to interact with law enforcement for any fucking reason. My family knows that if I get arrested, there's no bail. Don't bail me out. They know that if I get arrested, it's going to be because I have defended the Constitution and defended my family to the point of taking an officer's life. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. I know for a fact that people watch my videos, people share my videos for an opportunity to get at me, to get after someone that they don't like for some reason. You may not like me because of my political views. You may not like me because you lick the boots of the cop community or the law enforcement community. You may not like me, but let's get to the real here. You don't like me because I like freedom. You don't like me because I endorse chaos and mayhem when it comes to people infringing upon my rights and the rights of others to do what we're legally and lawfully allowed to do, which is commerce, which is pursue happiness and live a life full of liberty and freedom. That's why you don't like me. You don't like me because of my words. You don't like me because I have the First Amendment. You don't like me because I have the Second Amendment. You don't like me because I have the Fourth Amendment to be secure in my papers and effects. You don't like me because I have the Third Amendment not to house and quarter these rogue police officers and these rogue soldiers that think that just because they were activated by the National Guard doesn't mean that they're free and absolved from any court proceedings or any firefighter engagement that they're going to engage with the American people. And I'll tell you emphatically right now, any of my kids, any of my family members die because the law enforcement was trying to enforce those orders will fucking receive 100% uh, retaliation from me. They will receive everything that their nightmares ever perceived of. I will leave heads on stakes. I will do it to your entire family. I will do it to everybody you know. And I'm not playing with people. I'm not playing with my freedom. This isn't a terroristic threat. No, this is a promise from the Constitution, from somebody who believes in the Constitution, that I have every right to defend my family. And if you think that, oh, well, you're past the point of defense when you go on the offensive, no. Nope. Mm-mm. Doesn't work that way. I will be the most dangerous man in America if any of my family members die or get arrested or get detained because they weren't social distancing, or if they get tased because they weren't complying with state orders. Those orders are unconstitutional. Nobody has the authority to tell you to stay in your fucking home. Nobody has the authority to tell you you can't run a business. They don't have that authority. Nope. And for the officers out there that are watching this video, that are listening, that are, whatever have you, know that I'm not the only person that thinks this way. Not even fucking close. I am just one of the few people that voices what he thinks. And I think that you're in a whole lot of fucking trouble if you continue to try and arrest people, you continue to try and violate their rights for doing something they're allowed to do. So take this warning, go fuck yourself, quit law enforcement, quit while you're ahead, because the days of you being able to do what you want are coming to a close, and I promise you that. Thank you for tuning into David's Life and Observation, and have a great day.